All right, so I wanted to make a quick, some addition or amendment to last night's video so if you look at the post prior to this one, you'll see what I figured out about the right hand, but I mentioned gravity, and if it's not intuitive, I wanted to unpack a little bit about why gravity is a big deal in guitar technique. And we'll start with the left hand because it's a little bit easier to understand, and that is that the muscles, so you have this ball and socket joint that connects both arms to the shoulder. And so your upper arm basically fits in the shoulder like a ball and socket. And the muscles that operate that are kind of in the upper chest, shoulders, and upper back. And so if you hold this up, after a while you're going to feel in those areas, those muscle areas that I just described, you're going to feel muscle exertion because you're holding up that left arm. And the reason that the angle of the guitar has been raised, if you look at like the Guitar Federation of America, which is the biggest classical guitar competition, or one of them in the world, if you look, or if you just look at guitarists over time, you go back to Segovia and Ida Presti, and then you go all the way through, the angle has gradually raised over time. And the reason for that is in part so that you can just let so remember, you're holding up, and you're feeling the muscles in your upper back, shoulder, and upper chest. And when you let it fall on the instrument, then you're no longer holding anymore. And the way that they've set up the guitar now with the leg, supporting it with the leg or different types of supports, like the idea is that you're not really holding anything. And not only are you not really holding anything, but you're not even holding your own body, because you can just let the left arm fall into the instrument, then you're not holding it up anymore. And they talk about it being like walking. And the idea is that like as you're playing things on guitar, you're constantly moving around in a way that you're still walking. You're always falling into the instruments, that you're not holding the arm up. There is something similar for the right hand. So one thing I talked about in the last video that I won't super unpack is that because the muscles that operate the fingers are in the forearm, and because those tendons run through the wrist, anything that happens to the wrist is going to affect the fingers, and gravity is this external force that can impact it. And so what you're seeing is that they've set up the guitar. They've set up the guitar so that as you lift the right hand, gravity is just going to naturally push the wrist down, and as you bring it in, it's gonna smooth the wrist out so that the tendons are actually in alignment, or the wrist is in alignment with the forearm, and so are the tendons. And so the idea I'm trying to get at here is that you're trying to get as much of that through positioning as possible, and then once you get it, you use a little bit of muscular exertion to hold it. But there's also one more catch to this gravity thing, and that it's like walking principle, and that is that in the right hand, you're sort of fingering in a way so that you're always playing the guitar, because the guitar, the way they hold it now is up and back at an angle, so that you kind of fall onto it, and again, you're not holding up anymore. You can have, it's more, the reason I start with the left hand is because it's more subtle in the right hand. In the right hand, you still feel it holding up like this, but it's just less because your forearm is resting on the instrument. But when you fall in to the strings, there's some release in the upper arm and in the upper back and shoulders as well, just like there was in the left hand. And so you're always trying to basically use this joint here to do two things: to set up the arm so that the wrist and forearm are aligned, so those tendons are good, and then also you're trying to walk so that you're always in contact with the strings and you're not holding up the hand. And not only that, but the weight of the arm and gravity helps in some of the sound production, because some of that's falling into the instrument now.